Hello and welcome to another episode of Ringside Fracas. I'm your host Naeem, and today I'm joined by Jide. Jide, how are you, bro?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Good. It's been a good last 2 weeks of boxing. We've been uh, been spoiled with some good fights, some entertaining fights, and some dramatic fights as well.
Some
And
great,
just
great fights, man. Some great fights.
and there's a lot to get into. I mean, in these past 2 weeks, and so I'm happy, especially as a boxing fan. It's good to see boxing kick up again and get some of the better fights going. And we'll go straight into it. Obviously, last Saturday at the Co-op Arena in Manchester, Daniel Dubois took on WBO heavyweight champion Fabio Wardley in a cracker of a fight. I mean, it was probably a heavyweight classic in terms of the entertainment, the drama, what went on. It was a fantastic fight. When we were previewing it, we were telling you this was going to be a very fun fight to watch, explosive, edge of your seat stuff. Make sure you don't miss it. And boy, it was one not to miss. They delivered. You start the fight off. Daniel Dubois gets hit with the first right hand and gets dropped. Temple shot. It didn't really hurt him, but he gets dropped straight away, and he realizes the power that Fabio Wardley carries. And they get straight to it. It's not like there was a break in the action. Daniel gets back up and gets back onto it. And Daniel starts boxing well, getting behind his jab, landing his 1-2s and then left hooks. And he kind of is pushing back Wardley. And now you think, okay, first knockdown happened, but he's getting back into this fight. In round 3, another right hand from Wardley to the top of Dubois' head, and he has to take a knee. And you're looking at Daniel and you're kind of thinking, is this happening again? Is he kind of going through the motions of wanting to look for a way out? He's looking at his corner. He doesn't look like he knows what's kind of going on, but gets back up, gets back to fighting. And from rounds 4 onwards, it was all the Daniel Dubois show. He just used his jab, showed his pedigree, showed his experience, showed that he was more athletic, more technical, and was just a stronger fighter, and really fought Wardley's fight, which was quite surprising. He took it to Wardley and really put a beating on him until round 11 came, where the referee had to just step in because there was too much punishment and Woodley's chin wasn't giving out. It was a fun fight to watch from start to end. But there are some things that we're going to have to comment on, especially the end. But yeah, loads to get into. Jide, you caught that fight live as well with the rest of us. How did you find it?
Yeah, it was a great fight. Like you said, heavyweight classics. The best fight for me, best heavyweight fight since AJ Klitschko. You could even argue, maybe it's because we're in the moment, it was even more entertaining. AJ Klitschko was more back and forth, so maybe that one's a bit better. But I just couldn't, I can't remember a heavyweight fight that good because the amount of punishment both men took, mainly Fabio, is just insane. And in my predictions, I've predicted Daniel to win. Unfortunately, I had it 4-6. This is me downplaying Fabio's chin. Fabio Wardley has one of the best chins I've ever seen. Like, it's probably dented now, but for as long as it lasted, that chin is absolutely insane. Like going into the fight, Daniel Dubois was the better boxer, better jab, better coordination, better feet, well, more balanced. Like he was just better than Fabio at everything. The only thing Daniel Dubois didn't have, but Fabio didn't have it either, is head movement. Like if you build your perfect heavyweight, it will be Daniel Dubois minus the head movement. If Daniel Dubois had a bit more cuter defense in terms of his head movement, he's the perfect modern heavyweight. He's deceptively quick for his size. He has excellent feet. I feel like people always underrate that. He has excellent feet in terms of coming in and out, setting himself to throw punches. Because you look at him, sometimes you think he's square, but he's not really square. He's at an angle, throws either a hook or right hand, then he's square to you, throws a combination, but he's angled off in a way that obviously he's not perfect, right? But when you throw your punches back, and we saw Fabio after round 4, his punches were just missing. Fabio was telegraphing a lot of his shots, but again, this was all based on Daniel's foot placement, Daniel's positioning in the ring, and it was just brutalizing him. Fabio, great, a lot of power. Round 1 and 3 was won off of just landing temple shots. I remember in the chat when he dropped him the first time, I said it was a balance shot. He wasn't hurt. The second time he dropped him, I think he buzzed him a bit more, but it was the same situation. It was top of the head, temple shot. And Fabio, and this is what I was saying. Remember, in the chat as well, I criticized Ben Davis, how he trains his fighters. He's a good trainer, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't train guys how to defend with their hands. He doesn't teach guys um, how to use the high guard. He doesn't teach his guys how to do the dark arts, wrapping a man up, uh, hooking one arm and using the other arm to all these things. They buy your fighter time. They, as long as your guy's not getting hit, that's a form of defense. And Fabio Wardley, yeah, is a white collar fighter, so he started late. His ceiling was quite it's quite low. No, I'm not say ceiling's low. His ceiling's high. His floor is quite low, I should say, in terms of his boxing techniques. But because of that, he should use as much dirty, not dirty tactics, but tactics that would make it harder for the more accomplished boxer to have his way. He doesn't have Daniel Dubois' feet. He doesn't know how to put as much disguise in his punches outside of his right hand. Well, okay, if I can't do that, maybe I should walk around the ring while Dubois is chasing me. And when he comes to engage, because Dubois does put a tail, though he's got great feet, like I said, just wrap him up. Wrap him up. Yeah, people. So, for example, Coley, everyone hates him for grabbing. I hate it for grabbing. But if he did a bit of Lawrence Okoli in there to buy himself some time, to recover when he's taking a shellacking, that will help. Again, like I said before, with his high guard, he doesn't have a way to defend when he's tired. That's the whole point of having arms, like using your arms. When you can't move your feet, you need to be able to roll the punches. You need to be able to cover up. All these things I feel like Fabio was lacking, because what he was doing is he'll throw his 1-2, miss, then he'll turn his head. Like, rule number one, don't turn your head. And it's like he turns his head and Daniel just jumps on him. But yeah, let me not ramble on about breaking down the fight. It was an absolutely amazing fight. Fabio, supreme heart. Again, I don't think he's gonna ever be the same. His nose is completely busted. He's taken so much damage. I just don't see him coming back. But big up Fabio, man. That was one of the best fights I've ever seen. And yeah, I'm currently beefing the zone because I accidentally got the zone ultimate tier. I just wanted to get the monthly thing, and they're trying to charge me all the way till next year, March. So I'm beefing them. But for the zone ultimate tier, I would say that was absolutely worth the payment.
Yeah, and there's loads of talking points in that fight, especially around Fabio. I just wanted to bring one of the talking points was about Daniel, which is showing he's always had mental toughness in terms of getting back up again, especially when he's fighting guys. When he fought Kevin Lorena, I think there was probably an injury that caused him to go down, but he went down multiple times, and he got back up. He went and scrapped, and there's always been that mental fortitude. I think a lot of the times it's the points where we come to, if Daniel's not winning, how does he fare? And obviously in the Usyk fights, there was multiple times where he wasn't winning anything and he really wasn't given an inch. But this fight, you could see, especially in the first 3 rounds, which round 1 and round 3, when he got dropped, there was a bit of a shock on his face. I think he even admitted when he went down in round 1, it was a kind of a, how the hell am I on the floor? Kind of like he didn't realize how he got there, which is normal. But there's always a kind of, he looks to the corner, which is normal, but sometimes he gives you that kind of fear in his face where, not because he's scared, but what's happening. Having to process everything. And round 3, I kind of looked at it when he took the knee and I was wondering, I hope this is a tactic just to buy him time, which is a fantastic survival tactic. I think if you got hurt, your legs aren't under you, just take a knee, because you'd rather that than take another punch just trying to stay up. Lose the point and then come back again, which he did. But there's another time where it's like, well, if he gets hit, if he got hit, was it like the Usyk first knockdown in the second fight where he just didn't have anything and he couldn't really get back, and that's why he's just kind of trying to figure something out but really can't. He can't really figure it out, and he's just kind of giving up slowly. But this fight, he really showed mental fortitude, because a lot of fighters would be disheartened, especially with Daniel, not with his shots. He was really landing some heavy, hard shots on Wardley that would knock out any man. And it takes a bit out of you mentally when you're landing your tougher shots. And the guy's not winning, and you're clearly winning, but it's not knocking him out, and it can be exhausting a bit because like, how long do I have to keep doing this for? When is he going to come down? Because he keeps firing back each time. But I have to give him his credit. He stuck in there. He dug in. He showed his fitness as well, and he just got the job done. That was it. He didn't get overzealous. He didn't try to rush his work. He just he just picked his shots, found it, and ended the fight on a good with a good performance, and one where in the last couple of rounds he wasn't really at hurt that much towards the end. He was just firing with everything. It was a more calculated performance than I've seen him do before. And especially like you said, I've got to give him credit. That jab, we've always said that jab is one of the better jabs in the heavyweight division. It is a ramrod jab. It's a power punch. It really is a power punch, the way it breaks open people's faces. And he works everything off that jab, which I love, because that's how it should be. That's how boxing is. You work off that jab. You find your distance. You find the range. You're able to push your opponent. You're able to get him to reset. You're able to land a hard jab and land a scoring shot. And he worked it so well in that fight. But what he also did as well, to limit the exchanges that Wardley would have, is use his feet to dart in and out. And I thought the footwork was really simple but effective, and that's all it has to be. Sometimes you just need to make your work simple and effective, and that's what he did. And at heavyweight, he's always been a problem, because for any heavyweight other than Usyk, because like you said, I wouldn't say he's the perfect heavyweight, but he's got a good mix of athleticism, technique, strength, power, and his footwork as well. He's a problem for any heavyweight in that division, except obviously Mr. Usyk. But so I've got to give him his credit, because we have been on him quite a while, especially with some of his losses and how he does deal with those losses. But he's been slowly racking up a good resume. I mean, wins over Hrgovic, wins over Wardley, Anthony Joshua. That's a good resume to build, especially as a current heavyweight right now. And he's a two-time heavyweight champion. Whether or not you accept him as a heavyweight champion, because obviously Usyk dropped the belt twice for him to win it, he's still a heavyweight champion. It will go down in history as a heavyweight champion of the world, and he's a two-time heavyweight champion. Chris, we've all have our criticisms of Daniel, but did he kind of surpass your expectations on Saturday night?
I'll be honest, I predicted him to win. I had a feeling that there was a chance it could be a shutout, and it wasn't to be. But no, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. He's definitely learning. I know he doesn't come across as the most intelligent of people, but in the ring, he's actually got quite a decent IQ. You can tell he's well schooled. You can tell all his fundamentals are really honed in well. But yeah, no, I was impressed. And I think ultimately what won that fight was the experience. I think, and we can't really, it's hard to really go back and say these kind of things, but if they were both of similar experience, I would actually back Fabio Wardley to come through that fight as the victor. But you could just see that as the fight went on, and usually what happens with boxers is, as the fight goes on, the more skilled / experienced boxer starts to kind of take over the fight. And that's exactly what we saw with Daniel Dubois. And ultimately, Fabio Wardley's fundamentals, his lack of fundamentals, really started to show as the fight went on. I have my reservations about Ben Davidson and the kind of advice he gave Fabio Wardley in the corner. But yeah, the fight was one off the jab. The fight was one off the jab. Daniel's got one of the best jabs in the division. It's just one of those shots where it's almost like a God-given talent for him to be able to throw that jab the way he does. Hard, it's sharp. He throws it very, very fast as well. And Fabio Wardley didn't have any answer to it when it came to the later rounds. I think initially it was always going to be a bit of a firefight. It was tense. It was difficult and whatnot. But yeah, just as time went on and the fight settled and fatigue started to kick in, those shots, those jabs, which Fabio might have been able to take early on in the fight, started to become too much of an issue, especially when they were coupled with a right hand. And yeah, ultimately, it was a very, very good performance from Daniel Dubois. Overcame a scare. Like a lot of people have said, I don't think he's one of those guys who's scared of getting hit or scared of getting hurt. I think his thing is when he feels mentally defeated or when he's got fatigue mentally and he just kind of caves in. But it was early in the fight. I think if you got dropped like that late in the fight where he was a bit tired, maybe it was a different story for Fabio Wardley. But yeah, all in all, great deserved victory, and props to Daniel Dubois.
Yeah, yeah. And while we're on Dubois, I'm just going to open up to the comments because we've got Ranch giving us comments. Big up Pit Stop Fracas. At what point do we admit Dubois is the second best heavyweight in the world? I'm assuming saying heavyweight, not obviously pound for pound in the world.
Yeah.
No, I think it's the second best heavyweight in the world. Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's only two contenders right now outside of Usyk who you look at, and it's either Caballero or Dubois. And if you look at their last 3 wins, Dubois has 3 wins over obviously Fabio Wardley, Anthony Joshua, and Filip Hrgovic. Whereas if you look at what's his name? If you look at Caballero's, it's obviously Damien Nieba. I'm not really going to count that, but it's Zhile Zhang, Frank Sanchez, and Makhmudov. If you match it man for man, Dubois has the better resume out of the two. And I think, yeah, you'd probably argue Dubois is probably the second best heavyweight after Alexander Usyk. But that's what makes it fun is if Usyk Caballero doesn't happen for whatever reason, you could always make Dubois versus Caballero, and that'll probably be a unification fight. And that is salivating to think about because that would be such a good fight to watch because Caballero does have the skill set, those body shots, that engine would do a job, but so would Dubois. He's got the power to knock down Caballero, and Caballero's been hurt before.
Are we saying he's second best off of resume or off of skill? Because if it's off of resume, fair enough. This is why all these guys need to fight each other. Round robin.
Skill?
But off skill, I still think you guys might disagree. I think Moses beats him.
That's true. I agree with that, but I think now, even still, I think we still have to see more of Moses. You still haven't seen enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. Which is why I say it's off resume, off skill. I'm not gonna completely dispute that because he's not fought the caliber of Dubois. But if all these guys fight each other, I think Dubois beats most of these guys. But I think Moses beats Dubois. But there's other styles that I feel give Moses a lot of problem because, like I'm saying, the bench, Ben Davison. I keep saying Ben Shalom for fuck's sake. Ben Davison defending with your feet stuff. When you get as a heavyweight, when you get tired, that stuff can work for Devin Haney and all these lightweights and whatnot. But heavyweights, by round 4, you're fucking knackered. Like you can't defend permanently with your feet, and he's gonna come up against guys who can take what he dishes out, and then when he gets tired, they're gonna keep shellacking him. Which is why a lot of guys are saying he shouldn't fight Usyk. I want to see him fight Usyk, but that's one of the main reasons. Usyk will exploit that stupid defense. But regarding Dubois, yeah, you can argue he's probably top 2. Again, I feel like all these guys need to fight each other. Dubois' mentality, I see what you and Chris are saying, but I feel like even before this fight, when he's winning, even if you're hitting him, he's confident. He doesn't give up. Against Hrgovic was landing loads of shots on him, but Dubois was hitting him. So Dubois felt confident that I am hurting you back. The only reason he quit against Joe Joyce was because he fucked up his eye. Before he got his eye socket bust, he was fighting. He felt confident. And Usyk, the only reason is he gave up. He couldn't hit him. I feel like Dubois is that kind of guy. He's the quintessential flat track bully. I'm not saying he's a flat track bully because he's really good, but I'm saying in terms of his mentality, where if he's landing shots on you and he's hitting you and he can feel you, he's not going to give up. You're going to have to actually knock him out. But if you're outclassing him or you've severely hurt him, he's going to give up. Because the Usyk second fight, yeah, it was a great shot by Usyk to drop him, but he could have got up and fought on. We all know he could have got up and fought on. He hit the canvas, then you saw he got his wits about him. He's got very good recovery, Dubois, and he just thought, yeah, fuck this, I can't beat this guy. So I still want to see Dubois in that sort of situation. Maybe it could be against Moses, and if Dubois beats Moses, then boy, he's that guy. But I need to see him where he's categorically losing and he doesn't quit. That's when I'll know his mentality is really bad.
Yeah, and Ranchadings backs up by saying Dubois is only weak mentally when he can't get his game off, so he quit to come back another day. Also, because he actually tactically takes knees and looks for support, obviously looks soft in the sport. Yeah, he took a knee tactically, and this time it paid off in my opinion, because like I said, that knee in the third round would have saved him from taking another shot from Fabio Wardley. When your legs are kind of unsteady, the best thing to do is try to prevent that by either holding or by just taking a knee and getting a few seconds to recover. And look, the result, after round 3, it was all him. It was all one-way traffic for Daniel Dubois. Chris, we were talking about this in the group chat. We're going to come on to Fabio Wardley now. Did the fight go on for too long? I think that's one of the main talking points, especially surrounding the whole fight, that this fight carried on for too long, that the referees or the corner kind of failed Wardley and the doctor as well, failed Fabio Wardley, and they should have pulled him out sooner rather than round 11. What are your thoughts on that?
Way too long. Way too long. I can't remember exactly. I feel like it should have been round 9. There was a round. Yeah, I'd 7 to 9 as well. But there was a round where he came out and he was stumbling, and I think the ref took a look at him. Yeah, and he was stumbling all over the canvas, man. And I think the ref looked at him, buying him a bit of time, a little bit of recovery time, and then he went in. One thing about fighters like Fabio Wardley, and this is what Ben should have known or should have done and taken into consideration, is the fact that some fighters are just too brave and have too much heart. And we know he's a tough fighter. We know he's a brave fighter. But guys like Fabio need to be saved from themselves. If he had it his own way, he would go till the final bell or till he's completely out. You know, he's one of those guys. We know how much heart he's got. It's up to you as a boxing trainer, as the guy on his side, to, make that call, make that decision and think, you know what, let's look at the trajectory of this fight. Where's the fight going? Is there a chance he wins? Is there a chance he throws a shot back? What's the probability? How much damage has he taken? Can we come back and fight another day? Take all those things into consideration and make the call. And it's a brave call, but you make the call, and that's why you're there. That's why he's got you there in the first place. Now, because of how far the fight is, or fight went, sorry, I don't know how much of a recovery he can make from this long term. We know there's going to be big damage. That we know. That's a guarantee. But in terms of even in the short term, his fight career, those kind of fights, they really, really damage people. You're never the same after that first big, brutal beatdown. You're never the same. If he'd got knocked out straight in one, it might have actually been better for him. But he just had too much heart. He's got too much of a chin, and he just taking concussive shot after concussive shot. And we know Daniel Dubois has got heavy hands. So, yeah, I don't. It was way too late, and I think in terms of Ben, he needs to take a long, hard look at himself and really think about what he might have done to his fighter.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the times we keep praising a great chin, which obviously is good to kind of be tough. But if you're constantly taking hard shots, it's still the same shot you're taking as if someone was getting knocked out. Like, still the same blunt force trauma, and it's not good to take it especially that often. And I think one of the issues surrounding Wardley was a lot of people were mentioning obviously the Parker fight and the Hooney fight where he got the knockouts in the later rounds. The difference is the context, and it was kind of maddening to see that people weren't putting it into context. When he fought guys like Joseph Parker and Hooney, he did have hard shots to deal with, but he did have hard shots to deal with, but he, they weren't shots that were wobbling him. They weren't shots that were, getting him to stumble over the ring. If you watch back the Hooney fight, you watch back the Parker fight. Parker, he had more success than Hooney. Hooney was getting outclassed him. He was getting outworked. Hooney was too quick. But there was never a point where you're like, oh, Fabio might get stopped here. It was more, Fabio's not got it. He's been completely outworked and outclassed in these last 10 rounds, and he's just going to lose. He's just going to lose. And Parker was hurting Parker. Parker was hurting him at times. And again, no one really got wobbled other than Parker mainly. The difference here is, like we said, there was that one round where he's literally stumbling all around the ring as soon as the bell went. There was multiple times where he's on the ropes and he's literally using the ropes to keep himself up. There was nothing else keeping him up. You could argue those were knockdowns because had the ropes not been there, he would have just fell backwards. Like there would be nothing keeping him up. So context matters. And I think that's where the coach can't buy into the fighter's hype. You can't go into a fight, especially a fight of this magnitude and a dangerous fighter like Daniel on the other side, and think, oh, it's fine, he got hurt, but he's firing back. And, because if he lands that one shot, he'll win. You as a coach can't think that. You as a coach have got to look at your fighter and think, should he still be here? And should I just throw the towel in? I've got to make that assessment. I just throw the towel in and save him for another day. It's not worth it. And like I said, context. When you're hurt and your legs are gone, your power's not the same. You can land heavy shots. You're not going to land the same heavy shots with the same amount of thudding power as you did before. Like in the Justice Hooney fight, he had enough. His legs were under him, so he could land that right hand that puts Hooney down. And the same with Parker. But with Dubois, after round 7, after round 6 or 7, his legs were gone. You're not gonna. It doesn't matter if he landed uppercuts. He landed some good shots on Daniel. And he was firing back each time, but it wasn't with the same vim. Dubois was unaffected by any of his shots. He just kept pressing forward, and that's where I think Ben Davison failed him. I don't know what the corner said in terms of the tactics. I think one of the tactics they should have worked on before the fight was trying to take away that jab of Daniel Dubois. I think that's one of the key ways to kind of beat him, and they didn't really work on that too well. But in terms of, the ref failed him, the doctor failed him when he was stumbling around, and they took him to go see the doctor. I thought, oh, this is it. But they were just taking him to see his nose, and his nose was all bloodied up and messed up. But he's literally stumbling in front of you. There is no need to carry this on. But people buy into the hype of a fighter, and they go, oh, he can make a comeback, so we can't call it off. And like a lot of people said, you could have potentially damaged him for life after this. Obviously, he's fine now, what they said, but we don't know the lasting repercussions and whether or not, if in the next fight his resistance is completely gone, because he took a battering in that fight. Just because he didn't go down doesn't mean he didn't take the blunt force trauma all to his head. They're not superhuman. He was taking those shots and he was going to feel those shots, and the damage will set in. That's where the safety precautions come in. Jide, your thoughts? Did Ben Davison let it go on for too long?
Of course he did. I agree with every single one of you. Like, he cooked him. He should have stopped it around 9. When Wardley done a stanky leg and he stumbled across the ring, should have been pulled. The person I'm the most critical of is the doctor, because he called him over 3 times, and he heard every time he called him over, the crowd booed, and I feel like that played in the doctor's mind. So he didn't want to call it off to let the crowd down. So he was looking for excuses to let the fight go on. Should have stopped that fight. Ben Davidson, he came out and said, people are criticizing him, but he's also the guy that didn't let, saying about, he let Fury go on or fight on longer, and Fury pulled off a win, and he didn't want to take that away from Fabio because Fabio has that chance because of his power, whatever. I completely understand stuff like that, but you know your fighter. Yes, Fabio's pulled it out last minute against Hooney and Parker, but this is not Parker or Hooney. This is Dubois, who hits like a fucking truck. You can see when Wardley threw that uppercut and Dubois just ate it and nothing happened to him, I feel like that's when everyone should have said, yeah, you know what, this is it, it's done. It's done. Throw the towel in now, because there was no stopping Dubois at that point, and your charge is getting absolutely battered. I'm very, very critical of Howard Foster. The first time I wanted him to stop a fight, he did it. And it's just so funny. But I hope he now doesn't go, oh, well, see, you lot criticizing me for stopping fights early. I'm going to stop. I don't want him to go back to stopping fights way too early. But obviously, he'll rather it stop early than late. But me, I'm the other way around. I'd rather it stopped late, funny enough. But I will say, this fight, it went on for way too long. And Ben Davidson needs to look at himself because I'm so like, before I was one of the first critics of him. I allowed him because I thought a lot of guys use him and he's a quite a good trainer. But yeah, just for me, it ruined Woodley's career because he's human. He's not going to get recover from that. Like every fighter or any sport, you're taking hits to your brain. Your brain can only take so many hits before it shuts off for its own safety. Every single accumulated damage adds up. So now Woodley's essentially had about 4 or 5 fights in one. So how many more fights would he have before he turns into Marius Swak? Remember, Marius Swak was one guy who had an amazing chin until the chin got cracked and that was it. Another one, Joey Joyce, amazing chin until it got cracked. And I feel like Woodley's in that range now. Obviously, we don't know until his next fight, but yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky to kind of. It was tough to watch that fight, especially towards the end. I was thinking, and I know you gave credit to Howard Foster, but one thing I would criticize him for is the fighter in front of you at the start of the round is wobbling. You have to call it. Like you've been in this game for long enough to know the deaths, to know the life-changing injuries. You see a guy in front of you that's stumbling, and it's a heavyweight fight, and the other guy is Daniel Dubois, and he looks fine. You really want to continue that. I mean, he had to make the assessment, I think, earlier on and really stop that fight. There's loads of times where Wardley's just on the ropes and trying to fire back, but firing back and missing isn't nothing. If he's all over the place, you just got to call it. And safety is paramount before everything. I know people say, oh, it's soft and anything, but you'd rather a fight get called early than get called late. Like, oh, you lose a fight because it got called early, like the Parker fight, for example. But I'd rather that happen than Parker get walked out in a stretcher. And the same thing here. I'd rather Wardley complain about a stoppage than Wardley leave in a stretcher. So I think there's a lot of things that British boxing kind of needs to look at, especially when it comes to referees, the health officials, and the safety. I think this wasn't just one event. There's loads of events involving British referees. I mean, one event I remember was when Lewis Ritson fought Jeremiah Ponce, and they kept throwing the towel in for Ritson because Ponce was beating the crap out of him, and Steve Gray was throwing it out. It was one of the most weirdest fights I've ever watched in my life, where the corner's literally trying to call it, and Steve Gray's like, no, and he's throwing the towel out. It didn't make any sense. And guess what? No repercussions for that. I mean, the most odd thing you'd ever see, and yet it happened, and there was no kind of investigation or any change since then. So what's next for Daniel Dubois? I mean, obviously after a fight like this, and the damage he's kind of accumulated, it's in the Usyk fight, in this Woodley fight as well. There's not a lot of damage, but obviously he might take a bit of a break. But what would you like to see next from Daniel Dubois? Of course, there's rumors that after Usyk fights next week against Rico, that he's going to fight Caballero at the end of the year. So most likely that the Usyk third fight is out of the picture, and also Caballero's kind of out of the picture. So who would you like to see Dubois fight next? Jide, I'll come to you first. Who do you think's next?
I would like to see him fight. I would like to see him have a title defense. Not with the AJ, that was an email champ defense. I don't really count that. This one, he actually won the title off of a sitting champ. I like him to have a nice title defense. It doesn't have to be a top 3 or top 4 guy. If he defends it against,
if he defends it, it'll be Otama, because Otama's number 1.
Yeah, I know Otama's number 1, but I feel like he can get a voluntary, unless he has no voluntary. And I think the voluntary is top 15.
I got an idea for a voluntary, but I'll say it after Chris's one.
But yeah, I'd like him to have a nice voluntary, not a cream puff like a Jared Anderson or something. That would be a great fight. And I think he beats Jared Anderson. But again, we get to see Jared Anderson at this level again. And it's a fight where Dubois will be entertaining before he fights Moses and gets beat. I'd like to see him have that defense, because Dubois has an amazing resume But the issue with him is he has no pizzazz with his resume. Like for example, Wilder fought a bunch of bombs where you can argue he had what 9 title defenses or something stupid like that. Well, you can say that in 20, 30 years or 40, 50 years when we're all gone or whatever, we're old and whatnot. If the sport is still booming, guys looking at this era, they're not going to be like, who are these guys? Because they weren't there. They will look at the title defenses, the titles you won, and who you fought. But Dubois has no title defense for me, so I like him to have a good title defense against a Jared Anderson or something like that, and then fights Moses and gets beat. That would be my ideal situation.
Chris?
I actually like the thought of an Anderson, to be honest. Feel like with Dubois, he just doesn't have star power. This is the thing, and he's never really going to be one of those charismatic fighters. But if he can go maybe to the US, or maybe just take an American scalp, I think that would be a really good look for him. So it'll be someone like Jared Anderson, maybe someone like Torres, Richard Torres, or American fighter. Other than that, I would still like to see the Joseph Parker fight.
Yeah.
I feel like there's still a little bit of intrigue in there. Obviously, I'm not sure. I don't think Parker's fought since the Wardley loss.
Because he's been sniffing too much, but yeah.
But forgot about that. But I would still like to see that fight. And I feel like the time when the fight should have happened, I feel like Parker would have been well prepared for that fight. I feel like someone like Dubois would struggle against a more pure boxer. And that's why I feel like guys like Caballero, Joseph Parker, guys like Moses Atama would cause him a lot of issues. Yeah, it all remains to be seen. I think in the meantime, he's had a pretty difficult run, all things considered. I would like him to fight an American mostly. There is a part of me, even though he doesn't really deserve it, there is a part of me that would love to see him fight Hrgovic again. And I don't know, I don't know if it's me being a hater, because I don't hate Dubois, but I really feel that Hrgovic didn't take that fight seriously enough. Obviously, he has got deficiencies in terms of his defense and his laziness at times, but I feel like it'd still be an entertaining fight and it'd be an entertaining rematch. Hrgovic has got to do what he needs to do in order to make that fight appealing and attractive, which is going to be difficult. But it's still a fight that I've always been a little bit intrigued about, a rematch I've been intrigued about. So, yeah.
I'm surprised none of you have mentioned this name. I agree with some of the names that you said. I think that there'll be good fights. I think this name, though, is just surefire to make Daniel Dubois a bigger star. Obviously, with the heavyweight division kind of probably locked up, with Usyk Cabello being in talks for later this year, Moses Atama fighting in August, whoever it is that he is fighting, there's no thing, and he's obviously not going to fight Moses in August. It's just not that. There's one guy that's coming off a win in the UK, and he sold out the O2 this year, and Deontay Wilder. I think that's an easy fight for Daniel Dubois to knock him out, to look good.
Wilder is not taking that, bro.
You put enough money. You put enough money in it. You'll sell out the O2 or whatever you want to sell out with it. You'll get Wilder gets a title fight. Wilder gets money. And you get the chance to make Daniel Dubois an even bigger star if he knocks off Wilder's head. Because one thing I remember distinctly about that Wilder-Chisora fight was a lot of casuals were talking about that fight. There are some fights where a lot of us will watch it, like Dubois Wardley, and some people tend to talk about it. I remember when Wilder-Chisora happened, I was in some random restaurant in Ilford. People were talking about it. Wilder still is a name people remember, and still people that talk about. And I think if there's no one for Dubois to fight right now like that, obviously Joseph Parker coming off a loss as well, and obviously with his sniffing, I think Wilder is an easy toss-up because, again, you'll sell out London and you'll get Dubois highlight reel and you'll continue to build Dubois' profile. I think just from a business perspective as well, it just makes sense for Dubois to fight someone like Wilder. He'd knock Wilder's head off, and you'd look good doing it, and you could just sell so much off the back of that. So I don't like the fight per se in terms of technical, because I know Dubois is going to beat the crap out of him. But let's just see it. You might as well. I mean,
you're right. You're right. If I'm Warren, that's the fight I'll go for, 120%.
Yeah, I just don't know if he takes it. That's my issue.
But the thing I'd say is, because AJ Fury are fighting, and they're fighting twice, let's be real, that's that rematch. Whoever loses, there's going to be a rematch unless they get completely battered. Wilder really doesn't really have anywhere to go. Dubois is probably your biggest shot at a big payday, so you might as well take that. Can't wait for AJ and Fury now, can you? So the opportunity is there.
No, you're right. You're right.
I hear it. Yeah, I do hear it. I do feel like there is an element of Deontay Wilder. Oh, sorry, Dylan White trying to fight Deontay Wilder. I feel like that's there, and that's probably an intriguing fight still.
Yeah.
Battle of the bums.
Yeah, but I think it would be entertaining. I think I favor Wilder, but I think it would be it'll be an entertaining build up. It'll gather a lot of eyes.
It'll be fun, and Wilder fans will think Wilder's back when he knocks him out.
And I think both guys will feel like they can win that fight.
Yeah,
I really do feel like both guys will feel like they can win that fight, and that's the fight I've been thinking of with Wilder, and that's probably why I don't think too much about Dubois. But Dubois' game, Dubois will fight whoever. I think the only guy who's not going to fight is Usyk for obvious reasons, and I'm happy. Yeah. I'm happy Stan came out and said that's done, because no one wants to see that. No one wants to see that. I don't know why Fury was shouting about a third. I don't want to see a third fight.
But I think two other names that I'd say is, from the pure perspective, Torres Sanchez winner. Even though they are doing it for an IBF eliminator, you can easily just coax them out of the IBF and look, I've got a world title, let's fight for it. And that'll be a fun fight. Whoever wins that, I think Torres wins that. So, but that would be a fun fight to see Dubois in. Another one, which is you might as well capitalize on it because you've got the time, and like we say, if it's voluntary, Zhilei Zhang, I'd watch it. Even though Zhang, I don't think obviously Zhang's way past it. I'd still watch it. Still be fun to watch two big heavyweights slug it out like them two. So
is he even training?
Don't know. Have no.
Probably in Shanghai somewhere.
Probably, but we'd still watch it if it happened. We'd still watch it because two massive heavyweights, and especially Zhang still carries power. You'd still watch it just because it's like I said, when there's two big heavyweights in the ring, you'd watch it. So it's fun, it's interesting. Let's see what Daniel Dubois has next. But someone who's now recently, in the last 3 days, has made their future really big is Zach Chelly, when he took on David Morrell in a late notice fight, and it was a fight where he was the betting underdog by far. I mean, I've never looked at the odds, but I think he was quite far a betting underdog. He was really game, took it at David Morrell, hurt him, and then in the 10th round, with seconds to go, made sure there was no doubters and knocked out David Morrell clean out on his feet, being the first man to stop David Morrell, with a guy who's fought guys like Imam Kataev, who's fought David Benavidez, and they never knocked him out, but Zach Chelly did. What a performance that was. That was one of those times where someone really took the opportunity that was given to them with both hands and made the most of it. And that's what you kind of want to see more in boxing. Everyone who's been given an opportunity, no matter how far you think the odds are, take it and see what happens. He rolled the dice and he knocked out David Morrell. I mean, that was a fun fight to watch. I'm very glad for someone like Zach Chelly because he deserves that opportunity. I've been watching him since 2017, 2018. I remember he was on Ultimate Boxer, winning those tournaments, and he was always talked about kind of as one of the guys around the domestic level. He kind of never really made it stick beyond domestic level. But this is a world level win at light heavyweight, and he hasn't been a proper fleshed out light heavyweight like that. I mean, it's a fantastic win. And I can't wait to see what's next for us, actually. Chris, did you catch that fight? Your thoughts on the whole performance?
Oh, mate, I was so impressed. I was so impressed. I think we were talking in the group chat just as the fight was going on. And I was saying I think maybe the second round, I was like, this guy's a bit tricky. Like, he was landing shots. It felt like David Morrell was doing all the glitz and glamorous stuff and the movement, upper body movement, throwing in some jabs. In between all of that, Zach would catch him with like a straight right hand or like a hard jab, and it would keep him honest. But it felt to me like David Morrell was trying to an image to the referees and to the judges, to the referee and the judges, that it's almost like he wanted to get hit. But this is nothing. Downplaying all the times he got hit, not actually working. And that fight really did feel like one of those fights where you're in it with a guy who you think you're much better than, and slowly but surely you realize they're a lot better than you thought. Now you're on the back foot and it's too late. You're on the other side of the hill and it's too late. And yeah, he just grew into the fight. And to me, what it looked like is he held back. It felt like he held back until those final few rounds where he decided, I want to stop this guy. And I can stop this guy. He felt something, he saw something, and he did it. And it was emphatic. David Morrell was out cold. He was out cold, on his feet, out cold. That could have been dangerous. But yeah, great win. I remember hearing about him fighting Ben Whitaker, being in the amateurs. I think they've got like a one-on-one record with each other. They both won a bout each. And so something like that, a fight like that in the pros, I wouldn't be mad at seeing it. Not at all. Would not be mad at seeing Ben Whitaker at least step up to someone who we actually know. And he's got an opponent there.
Yeah, I remember seeing Zach Chelly fight. He's no stranger to upsets. He fought Anthony Sims Jr. on a boxer card. I think it was one of Adam Azim's undercards. And obviously Anthony Sims Jr. at the time, everyone was kind of talking about him as kind of someone to watch out for from America. And Zach Chelly did this kind of the same thing. He obviously didn't knock him out clean, but it was that work rate, being game, landing those right hands, not being afraid to being that tussle up, and took it to him. And here again, did the same to Morrell and put the icing on the cake to knock him out clean. And I agree with you. I tweeted in the first round because I kind of expected David Morrell to have too much for Zach Chelly and be too much. But what I tweeted in the first round after watching it was, like you said, Morrell's giving a lot of the hullabaloo, the glitz and glamour, but no substance, whereas Chelly was landing substance. And that could bite you in the arse. And it did, because if you're not landing substance, the other fighter's just going to keep getting more confidence because they see past your tricks. They know you're not landing anything clean. You're not doing anything to me. I'm going to keep pressing forward and you can't take it. And unfortunately, there's a case that there's a lot of Cuban fighters who tend to come out of the amateur system and don't really achieve as well as they should do in the pros. I think partly due to the fact that their style relies a lot on their footwork, but not really, planting their feet and landing with complete force. But the problem with Morrell is we've seen him knock guys out clean out. I think the difference here is when you come from that system, there's a kind of arrogance. I think we've seen that with Morrell a lot of the times. There's a kind of air of arrogance about him where he thinks he's much better than what he actually is, and he's much better than the opponent. And we saw shades of it in the Kataev fight in New York when he was kind of shuffling backwards, and then Kataev just launched one long left hook and just dropped him. And it kind of forced Morrell to wake up. And I think that's kind of the similar case here with Chelly. He was just taking the piss a bit, and he got made to pay, and he couldn't come back from it. And I know a lot of people are saying there should be a rematch or whatever. I just don't think there should be, because that's your mistake. You've got to affirm that. I think someone like Chelly's got to move on and give him the opportunities that you're going to give Morel. Like if they say Callum Smith versus Zach Chelly, obviously it's not something we're all clamoring for, but we were all clamoring to see Callum Smith versus Darren Morel. I wouldn't mind Zach Chelly just jumping in and taking that opportunity because he's taken this one with both hands. So I think Morel really has got to look at himself now and understand, after being knocked out clean, I can't be arrogant because I'm not that good. I got knocked out clean. I got dropped in my last one. I couldn't really do much to David Benavidez. I've got to lock in because this will keep happening again and again because people will now know there's nothing to you. You can easily be hurt and you can be found. Jide, your thoughts on seeing Morel getting iced out clean?
Yeah, Morel. This is why you don't play boxing, man. Boxing is one of those sports where your mistakes are critical. It isn't a football where a West Ham beats an Arsenal at top of the table, and yeah, it's not that. Obviously, the consequences on that is massive financially, but I feel like with boxing's a lone man sport. It's winner stays on, and Morel essentially is cooked. He's absolutely cooked his career. He can come back, obviously, but it's a long way back because Morel was already seen as a high risk, low reward guy. He was already seen as a guy not many top names want to fight. But now you've been beat. So now they have no reason to fight you. You have no more commercial value for them. So now he's in the same situation as a Demetrius Andrade is or was at that time, where you're a guy, yeah, you can be beat, but you're very dangerous. But there's no money in you. I don't need to fight you. So now he's in a Who Needs Me club, all because of his arrogance. He won every single round. But then, again, it wasn't looking great, don't get me wrong, but he won every single round. All he had to do was continue boxing round 9, round 10, and he's done. But then Chelly, I feel like Chelly was setting up that shot because he was trying to land it earlier, but he couldn't. And I feel like he even said it himself, he set that shot up where you knew Morel would get lazy with the approach and he could just land it. And that exact thing happened, that exact pattern happened. So happy for Chelly. If I was him, I'm going to Eden on a Saturday. On a Saturday now I'm outside. I'm probably calling my bank and telling them, yo, I got like 5 mil coming in next year. Let me take a mortgage on a house at Emerson Park or something. I'm going crazy because if I'm
you want him to go down Adrian Broner route.
At least I'm buying property, not going. I mean, let's say it was like not spending 80 grand on pussy. Well, anyway, Chelly, what he should do is he should ignore everyone. Everyone's going to be calling him out right now. Ignore everyone. Get your dad, who's your manager, to get on the phone with Canelo Alvarez. Canelo has said he wants to fight in England. He said it multiple times. I would love an opportunity to fight in England. I've always wanted to fight in England. It's my dream. Obviously, they all say that, but I genuinely do think he would like to fight in England. That is such a massive layup. I cannot. Obviously, it's not a world title. It's not. But if he does the job against Mbili, it's an easy title defense. And his Canelo, he can pick and choose. He can say, I'm going on a title tour. Fight Chelly in England, bro. You're gonna get paid your 20 million. Your Canelo, your shit's guaranteed. Chelly, you get $1 million. You get 2 million. Maybe if you're lucky, you get 3. But you're gonna get. That's all I'm doing. If I am his dad, I'm ignoring Ben Whittaker. I'm ignoring Smith. I'm ignoring everyone, and I'm telling Canelo, what do you think about fighting in England? Speak to Turkey. Let's get this on. That's what I'm doing. Change your life, and you can retire. You don't have to go to school and work, whatever. But yeah, man, great story. That's the biggest upset in years. Legit, the biggest upset I can remember. Way bigger than Andrew Ruiz, Anthony Joshua. Like, obviously the stakes ain't as big, but in terms of skill level and discrepancy in talent, that is fucking huge, bro. That's a level above white collar. Let me not be too disrespectful, but that's British level beating a world level guy, bro. And I'm seeing a lot of Benavidez fans online saying, oh, look what David done to him. No, David didn't do that to him. It wasn't David that made Morel look like that. Like, stop giving that guy credit for everything. But that's another discussion.
Yeah. And yeah, for Zach Talia, we wish him the best. I think hopefully the next kind of fight is one of the bigger. We'll probably hope the next fight is the biggest fight of his career, and he gets paid well, especially for doing such a feat like this. And British boxing kind of delivers. And next week there's another fight. Oh, next week, this Saturday, there's another heavyweight fight that we get to look forward to, which is Dave Allen taking on Filip Hrgovic in the Doncaster Stadium. This is a bit of a weird one because Dave Allen is probably guaranteed entertainment whenever it comes to fights, not for the right reasons, but and when he's not pissing in his sink. But anyway, but this is a weird fight because Dave Allen comprehensively lost to Arslan Bek Makhmudov, and that fight kind of made sense to make at the time because obviously Dave's going on a run. He beat Johnny Fisher basically twice. They just had to run it back because of they didn't give him the win the first time, but he knocked out Johnny Fisher in fashion, and then he took on Arslan Bek Makhmudov. He lost that fight quite comprehensively. Makhmudov kept his range, let the shots go. He actually looked much better than he did against Fury. Like he looked like he's trying more in the Allen fight. But anyway, and it was a comprehensive victory to the point where even Makhmudov lost points for holding and still managed to win the fight quite comfortably. It was one of those ones where you just saw Dave's limit, that he doesn't really go beyond domestic. Like you put him in with European or just above European level fighters he's out of his depth. And he scrapped in that fight. He did land some hard shots on Makhmudov, but it was mainly all one-way traffic from Makhmudov just getting most of his shots off. And so this is an interesting one because obviously he's fought a journeyman in between, but Hrgovic is arguably better than, in my opinion, is probably better than Makhmudov. So getting this fight basically after losing to Makhmudov to me is like fair enough, but I just can't see you winning at all. I don't really see Dave Allen doing much. I see that he's in the best shape of his career, but I don't think that really serves him well. I think someone like Filip Hrgovic, he's too rigid in terms of his technique. His jab is great. His combinations are lethal. And he's been going on a kind of comeback run, especially by taking on British heavyweights. And he beat Joe Joyce, then he beat David Adelaide, and now taking on Dave Allen. That's a good comeback in terms of taking on British heavyweights and making your money from headlining. He's got the combinations, he's got the footwork, he's strong, he's got a chin on him, he's got a better chin than Makhmudov. He's just one of those big, stiff heavyweights who towards the top end seems to come apart, but at this point of his career, especially taking on a guy like Dave Allen, you expect him to take apart Dave Allen and do a job on him, even might be able to even stop Dave Allen. The only problem I see with Filip Hrgovic is he just rises it to the level that he's at when he's actually a better fighter than he actually shows a lot of the times. And he knows that. I think he knows that he's kind of underachieved a bit and he should have probably fought for a world title by now, but because of the way he's been going about things, he hasn't. And yeah, I think this is one of those cases where Hrgovic just gets the gears going and Allen's just one step behind, getting beat on and just loses comprehensively, but gets a big payday again and is able to buy another house and set himself up. But yeah, it's a weird one because I just don't think this fight should be happening, but it's going to be action. Allen's going to keep coming forward, but he's just not going to have much for Hrgovic. Chris, what are your thoughts on seeing Dave Allen take on Filip Hrgovic?
Look, I like Dave Allen. I like his YouTube, some of the things he's got to say. He's obviously very intelligent when it comes to boxing. But he is a British level fighter. I'm pretty sure he knows that. Hrgovic is just a bit too far beyond him. I think it's one of those fights where stylistically, I don't think it gets much worse. I don't think it gets much worse because you've got a guy who he's long, he's rangy, but even when you get on the inside, he's got a great chin. So that like kind of pot shot you might be looking for, gonna be hard to even get it even if you were to land it. Yeah, I mean, look, Dave Allen has just got to try his best, really. He just has to look good. I don't expect him to win, but if he looks good, look, he's got fights, he's got other British level fights he could potentially take on, other British level fighters. He's wanted Deontay Wilder. If he was to look adequate in this fight, who knows? Maybe that's a way down the future. Because to me, it looks like with Deontay Wilder, his only options are in the UK. He hasn't really got any other choices to fight, in the US or wherever. So yeah, if he does well, he's got guys like Wilder, he's got guys Dylan White. If Joe Joyce or Derek Chisora want to fight, if they really, really shouldn't, those are also options there. If Frank Sanchez was to lose again, he's got an option there too. He's got a few options, but he has to look good. He has to look convincing. He's in great shape, but one of those ones where ultimately he's just not good enough, in my opinion, to get this win. I would love to be proven wrong, but I just don't see it. I don't see him getting stopped, but I don't see him getting knocked out, I should say. But yeah, I definitely don't see him winning this fight.
Jide, could Alan pull off the upset?
Nah, he gets his ass beat, man. Like we know what Dave Allen's ceiling is. We know we've seen it. It's not that, like, I'm happy he's getting a payday, but bro, his head's gonna turn to mush soon. This when he steps up in quality, he gets exposed. Like, this isn't big boss Johnny Fisher. This is world level. So yeah, he's gonna get absolutely battered, probably stopped late, and yeah, we move on.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, isn't it? With Dave Allen, it's kind of like every time they step him up in his career, and they try to push the boundary, he's kind of shown his level each time. I mean, I remember watching him. He fought Lucas Brown and knocked him out with a body shot, but then the next fight they push him on to fight David Price, and that one kind of seemed like a layup because they were building Allen quite well, and David Price is quite chinny. His resistance was gone, and while he was a fantastic amateur. He was a really good amateur, and he was on his way to being one of the better heavyweights in the world until I think it was Tony Thompson, right? First fights happened. I can't remember who it was, where he got knocked out twice.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but it kind of seemed like a layup because you saw David Price get completely rocked by Povetkin and knocked out, and you kind of thought, okay, maybe he's on the decline and this is it. And he made David Price look like a world beater in that fight. He couldn't get anywhere near him, and David, all he really did was just stick to the fundamentals. And I think there's another case of Hrgovic where Hrgovic is another amateur who everyone kind of rated from when he was young and thought he would do something in the heavyweight division. I think again those fundamental technique will come out in this fight, and he'll make Hrgovic look like a world beater because his skill is just not there. I think he'll come up short again, but he gets another payday, and he's done well for himself considering his limited experience. I mean, his best win is either in terms of profile, probably Johnny Fisher, in terms of name, probably Lucas Brown. So credit to him, like he's done well with his career to achieve what he's achieved. And yeah, Saturday night we have another heavyweight fight to watch. I think it will definitely be violent and entertaining. Hrgovic and Allen both proven that they can provide that, so it'll be fun to see. Osiris says, I see Hrgovic is basically an upgraded Matt Woodov. Yeah, basically a bit more quicker. The punch is more straighter, there's more technique behind his footwork, and he has more composure and more shape, which will actually cause Allen way more problems than Matt Woodov does. So yeah, it's a tough fight for Allen to take on, but let's see how he gets on. Thank you for listening in. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If not, switch over to YouTube and just make sure you quickly like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comments if there's anything you want us to cover for next week or any topics you want to talk about. But please tune in as we keep going. Boxing's kicking on again, and we're getting the episodes out. So make sure to tune in, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Ringside Fracas, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.